Okay, so this is Mrs. Butterfield, and I am going to talk today about how to analyze credibility of sources and how to find the publication information. And this would be on your credibility worksheet that you need to find this. So one thing that you can do in order to find the publication information, let's start with that. Let's start with just a really basic source. If you are on opposing viewpoints in context and you open up a source, the publication information on this should be in the citation. Sometimes it is up here at the top. I have seen where it gives the publisher up there, but you can find it no fail if you go to the bottom where it has this citation. And this is in MLA format, so we will be using this citation later when we make a works cited sheet. But the publication information would come after the, in this case, editor information. So we have that this is from the publication Child Abuse. It is edited by this person. And then we have the publisher right here, Greenhaven Press. So this would be the publisher, and that's what I want to go for when I'm looking at publication information. That is slightly different because this is coming from basically a print text that has been put online. That's a little different from websites. If I look at this news source, this is U.S. News and World Report, I can scroll down to the bottom again. And so for websites, it's actually a good idea. Oh, you know what? This one's going to keep reloading, so I need to go to the main site. I just click right here. So if you go to the bottom of a web page, it should have information that looks like this. And generally, there is a copyright at the bottom, and that's what you want to look for your publisher. So in this case, it is U.S. News and World Report LP. If I look at Science Magazine, which is a respectable journal, the publisher is American Association for the Advancement of Science. So I would want to look for the copyright, and the date is there. What comes after that is the publisher. So one reason you want to keep an eye out for that is sometimes a university will be sponsoring a website, and their name is not at the top of the website. But that would be a reliable source if it's put on by a university. The other problem is that, or the other reason you want to look for that is that sometimes if there's no information, that's an indicator to you that you might not have a reliable source. So this is a great example of a source that looks reliable at first glance. It has this symbol at the top that I've seen on my insurance statements. Healthresearchfunding.org. You've probably been told that .orgs are reliable in the past. And what I've been told, or what I've told you, is that you need to discern between reliable and unreliable .orgs. In this case, if I scroll to the bottom, I have a lot of information, but I don't have any copyright information. There's no publisher listed. There's no author on any of the videos or articles. So those are signs to me that, this is probably not a credible source. Even if it is, I don't know who's behind it. This could be, I could have made this website, made it look really good, interviewed my friends who look like respectable people who can talk about topics that are important. But overall, if I'm not providing any contact information, there's a reason for that. And maybe I don't want you to get in touch with me. Maybe I do not want you to check my credibility. But this would not be a source that I would accept for your paper. Okay? So you need to have that publication information. In addition to that, we talked about how we needed to have author information and be able to find credibility on that front. This is an opinion piece, and I want to know who this person is. No, I don't want to subscribe. Okay. So Peter Ruff is the author. So that's a good start because at least I know who's writing the article. Some credible websites won't tell you the author, and that's still fine, but you just need to have enough where it's updated, it has a responsible publisher to be able to count it as credible. But I want to know more about Peter Ruff. I can click here, so this is very convenient. And I can go to About Peter and learn all about him. I might not agree with his ideas, but I can see that he has been a contributing editor for Opinion and a longtime observer of the Washington scene. He is formerly a senior political writer for the United Press International, which if I didn't know what that was, I would want to Google it and find out more information. But I can see that he has credentials that make him an authority on this subject. So it's okay for me to take this as a piece that might have information in it that's useful. But I would want to note that it's an opinion piece, Okay, so it does have some sort of a bias to it. It does have an argument to it. It's not an unbiased news source. The other thing that you can do if you have an author for a piece and you don't have a thing to click on for them is just Google them, okay? So you can do what one of my snarky students told me one time when I asked him a question. He said, "Why don't you ask my friend? His name is Google." So you can do that according to figuring out more about the author. So that's how you find those 2 missing spots that you might have on your sheet. Double check to make sure you know who the publisher is and what the credentials of the person who is writing is. If there is no author, it can still be a credible source, but you have to have kind of everything else in line. And then you want to check on the author. You know, somebody asked me today, everything's an argument. How do I know that that person is reliable? Why should I believe that these fallacies are even a thing? Well, I Googled her, and she's a professor at Stanford. She is the director of the program in writing and rhetoric. Those are good credentials. So I feel that I can trust her because she has a PhD, which shows that she's done the work and the research to get to that point where she actually is knowledgeable. Okay, so some things to think about. The next thing that I want to talk about today, and this should just take about 5 minutes of your time, is about taking notes for your sources. Once you have all 6 sources, your crap check is done. You're going to turn in the crap check to me. I will check over to make sure you're using reliable sources. Remember that 3 of them need to come from databases. And we are counting for just high school purposes that the database sources have already been vetted. You still need to do that check on them, but just keep in mind those are coming from outside sources, but they've been put on the database by individuals who have checked out their credibility already. And so once you have those 6 sources, though, now you need to get the information out of it. And you will need to show me at some point your notes. That's for a different class. And I will have that your notes are going to be due next Tuesday along with your outline. So I just have one due date for those 2 things. So there's a couple of things that you can do. So let's say that I want to save all of my pieces as a PDF. I'll just remind you how to do that. You would hit print. In fact, the easiest way would just be to print all of your sources. Send it to the LMC. If you do that, just take your computer down there and print all of them at the same time so you don't have to keep going back and forth. And then annotate. As you are annotating, be sure to be thinking about how you are going to use these facts. So only highlight a fact if you think you can work it into your argument in a certain way, and then make note of how you're going to do that. It'll take less time in the end when you come back to these if you see how you're going to use it and how you plan on that. So print and annotate is the first. If you don't want to print and you want to do it digitally, you can open the PDF in Preview. If you're in Safari, it just has a PDF button, and you can use that. And if you are okay with using the preview tools, if you've used this before, that would be one way. So you can highlight with this button, you know, I want to know about this. So that's going to come up later. And then I might need to put some text in there. I am not going to accept straight highlighting as notes. That doesn't count. You do have to have some writing, thinking about how you're going to use that. So you would hit this toolbar and put a text box in there. I think the tools on here are a little bit cumbersome, but this is one option for you if you're comfortable with it. Okay, and then you can just save all of those to your desktop or in one location. Another option would be to hit Command A and Command C and go ahead and copy and paste the entire article onto a Google Doc. And then from there, you can use the commenting feature as you come across stuff. This is a great point right here. Let's just pretend that it is. Highlight it, hit that button, and then you can say this will be for the Reagan era topic. I know I'm going to have one paragraph about the Reagan era. I'm going to have another paragraph about the latest tax cuts. This fact will fit perfectly here. So I would comment on that and then just have that in there. And you can put all of your sources in one document or use separate documents. It's up to you. So that's the second option. No, that's the third option because print was the first. The last option that I have for you comes in 2 forms. The first form would be if you have note cards, and I have some that I can share with you if you need. This is how I was taught to take notes for a research paper when I was in high school. And part of the reason for it is that we didn't have the internet. I know that's hard to believe. We did not have the internet. We had a library with books. And so we had to go into the library, check out our books, go through the card catalog with the Dewey Decimal System and pull out our books. And we couldn't write in the books. Instead, we would take one fact and put it on a note card. So, ooh, this is a great fact. I can use it as evidence. I put that fact on my note card. You also want to think about how am I going to use this and put a topic at the top. Basically, you're hashtagging it. And so I have an example on the board of how I would do that. Sorry, screencast people, you're not going to see this. So I would put, this is the topic. My overall idea is tax reform. I'm going to have this fact relates to the Reagan era. I'm going to have my fact right here. And I want the citation in the corner. So you want to think about who is the author of that piece. One fact per card. So I might have like 15 cards for one article. As I've gone through 15 facts, I think I can use all of these or some of these. I'm going to write these important facts down, make a note card for each one. After I have 5 articles done or 6 articles done, I'm going to have this stack of note cards. The nice thing about this is it makes organizing a lot easier later on because I have them all hashtagged by topic. So now I can take a card from this source and a card from that source and realize that they fit together. They deal with the same topic. And now I'm going to figure out how to arrange them so that they go in an order that makes sense. This is kind of a cumbersome process, but if you have trouble with organization and doing like little busy work skills helps you to get organized, you should use this version of it. I have a couple of people who are already choosing to do this. And then this is the very last version that I'm going to show you. If you like that note card idea and you like to be able to organize that way, but you want to do it digitally, you could do a Google Slides or any other kind of slides presentation. This would be my first slide, and then when I get to a fact, I'm going to put it on here. Let's say it's a direct quote that I got from one of my sources. Let me just go on here and click this and copy it, and I'm going to go ahead and paste it right on here. So I have my quote, da-da-da-da. It's going to look nicer than that because I'm choosing an actual quote and reading what I'm doing. And then I would want to put my author's last name in parentheses down here. Up here I can put the topic. And then later on, I can go ahead and organize by just clicking and dragging these thumbnails over here, and that will help me to get everything together. Remember that this is a synthesis paper, so you don't want body paragraph number 1 to be about article number 1. You want body paragraph number 1 to deal with a topic that includes evidence from a couple of different articles, and you're putting those ideas together. Okay, so that's how taking notes is going to help you get there. I don't think I have anything else for these people.